Hello everyone, this is Akanksha Mishra, Assistant Professor, Faculty of CIS and IT, Kalinga University. In today's lecture, we will discuss about the Module 2, which is Requirement Analysis and Specification, in which we will discuss about the Requirement Gathering and Analysis, SRS document, Formal Specification, Software Designing, and Cohesion and Coupling. So, start with the Requirement Engineering process. In the requirement engineering process, we basically focus on the what are the requirements which is needed to construct a successful software, in which we required 4 steps, which are feasibility study, requirement gathering, software requirement specification, and software requirement validation. What these points are, we will discuss slowly. First is feasibility study. In the feasibility study, a software developer check whether the software demanded by the customer is feasible to make or not. When the client approach to the organization for getting a desired product developed, it comes up with a rough idea about what all the functions of the software must be performed and which are all the features are expected from the software. The feasibility study focus on towards the goal of organization. This study analyzed whether the software product can be practically materialized in the term of implementation, contribution, and of the project to the organization, cost constraint, and as per the value of the object of the organization. The output of this phase should be feasibility study report that should contain a adequate comment and recommendation from the management about whether the project should be undertaken or not. After the feasibility test, the next part is requirement gathering. If the feasibility report is positive towards the undertaking of the project, next phase start with the gathering the requirement from the user. Analysis and the engineer communicate with the client and end user to know their ideas on what the software should be provided and which feature key want by the software to be included. After the requirement gathered from the customer side, the next phase is need to be documentation, which is known as a software requirement specification. The SRS document is created by the system analyst after the requirement are collected from the various stakeholders. SRS defines how the intended software will interact with the hardware, external interface, speed of operation, response time of the system, probability of the software across the various platforms, maintainability, speed of recovery after the crashing, security, quality, and limitation, etc. These things are concluded into one document which is known as a software requirement specification. After creating a document, the next phase is known as a software requirement validation, in which we validate the software requirement specification. After requirement specification are developed, the requirement mentioned in the document are validated. User might ask a legal, empirical solution and expert may interpret the requirement incorrectly. Now, we will discuss deeply on the what is software requirement specification. The product of the requirement stage of the software development process is a software requirement specification. It is also known as a requirement document. This report lays a foundation of software engineering activity and it conducts when entire requirements are elicited and analyzed. The SRS is a formal report which acts as a representation of software that enables the customer to review whether the SRS is according to their requirement or not. Characteristics of good SRS. Your SRS created by the analyst should be correct, unambiguous, complete, consistent, verifiable, modifiable, and traceable. These are the features of good SRS document. Now we will discuss about the formal system specification. When we create a SRS, we need a software to be, the report should be in a formal system specification. A formal system specification is a software engineering refers to the process of specifying software requirement and behavior using the formal mathematical language and notation. This formal system specification are of two types. One is known as the axiomatic specification and second is known as algebraic specification. What is axiomatic specification is? Axiomatic specification in a software engineering is a formal method of specifying the behavior and the properties of the software system using the set of axioms, rules and logical statement. Now, what is algebraic specification? So, algebraic specification is a software engineering is a formal method used to specify the software system by defining their behavior and property using algebraic equation and the rules. Now, after creating a proper document for the software, now the phase comes which is known as a software design, in which we design a software architecture. A software design is a mechanism to transform the user requirement into some suitable form which help the programmer in a software coding and implementation. It deals with the representation of the client's requirement as described in a SRS, which is Software Requirement Specification document, in the form of easily implementable using programming language. The software designing phase, first step is SDLC, which moves to the concern from the problem domain to the solution domain. In the software design, we consider the system to be as a set of component or module with the clearly define the behavior and boundaries of the software. The purpose of software design is to be your software should be correctness, completeness, efficiency, flexible, consistency and maintainability. So these are the aim of objective of your software design.